in your daily life, you can observe your mind, and you can observe your mind in an unspecified way and also in a specified way. So unspecified way is what you've probably heard. It's very famous all around the world. You just accept whatever comes in. Comes in unpleasant feeling, okay, this is unpleasant feeling. Comes in intention to stand up, this is intention to stand up. Comes in memory, this is memory. Comes in thought, this is thought. So whatever comes in, you accept it and you observe it as it is. So this is unspecified, because you are not limited in the mental states that you would observe, and you're not limited in your labeling. Nobody tells you you are allowed to use only these labels or those labels. Interestingly, we will not find the unspecified method anywhere in the Buddhist scriptures. The Buddha, when he taught vipassanā, the insight meditation practice, he always taught it with Dhamma Vicaya factor of enlightenment. Dhamma Vicaya means the distinguishing of phenomena. So for the Buddha, distinguishing of phenomena is not unspecified. It is always specified. So the Buddha taught observing mind in 2, 3, 5, 8 ways. The Buddha taught insight meditation practice in 22 ways. Out of that, 14 are observing of the body, and the remaining 8 ways are for observing the mind. And you can choose any out of them. So the first one is observing just feelings. So you'd be observing pleasant, unpleasant, neutral feelings. Whatever is the feeling, you accept it as the way it is. You can observe the feelings in a different way. You can observe them as pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral, and further distinguish whether they are whether they are conditioned for unskillful thought or skillful thought. So if the unpleasant feeling leads you to anger, then you know, aha, this is unpleasant feeling which leads to anger. Then you would have unpleasant feeling which doesn't lead to anger, which leads to peace. That's a different kind of unpleasant feeling. So this way, these 3 kinds of feelings are further divided into 2, thus you have 6. So you have pleasant feeling with unskillful thought, pleasant feeling without unskillful thought, unpleasant feeling with unskillful thought, unpleasant feeling without unskillful thought, neutral feeling with unskillful thought, and neutral feeling without unskillful thought. So this way you get 6. Now, the second type. The third type is what I really like to recommend to those who observe their mind and they are still not very deep in their practice. But it's complicated because you need to memorize 16 things. So you're categorizing your mind into 16 categories. Every mind, every mental state, every mental process needs to be somehow, categorized in one of these 16. So they are greed, non-greed, hatred, non-hatred, delusion, non-delusion, the laziness, then restlessness. So these are the first 8. And then we have another 8, and that is strong concentration in the material realm, not strong concentration in the material realm. Strong concentration in the immaterial realm, not strong concentration in the immaterial realm. Then concentrated, not concentrated, liberated, not liberated. Altogether 16 states of mind. The idea here is to understand that you do not have any your mind. That all minds are categorized. That there is nothing mysterious, nothing that you need to pursue because it is super special. They are not special at all. They are all impermanent. So you observe how each of them starts, is, and ceases. So this is the way how you would observe the mind, there is only one technique for observing mind as mind, and that's this one. It's known as Chittanupassana, observing mind. Then there are further 5 techniques for observing phenomena. Most of them are mental phenomena. The first one is observing the 5 hindrances. So you would be observing lust, ill will, sloth and torpor, worry and anxiety, and doubt. You would observe them as present, absent, arising, being suppressed, and not arising anymore. So these 5 hindrances are observed in their 5 states. Then the other practice is observing the 5 aggregates. So you observe the body, feelings, perceptions, intentions, and consciousness as it arises and passes away. Then there is the practice of observing the 6 consciousnesses. You observe seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking as it arises, as it starts because of the contact between the door, the sense door, and the object, and how they are the condition for presence of sensual desire, absence of sensual desire, or they are known as fetters. It's much more complicated than just sensual desire, but they are 10, and we'd be here tomorrow if I have to say everything. Until tomorrow, I mean. So we observe how these fetters are present, absent, arising, being suppressed, and not arising anymore. So again, you observe the 6 consciousnesses, and you observe how those consciousnesses either lead to these fetters or not. And what do you do with those fetters? Then the next practice is observing the 7 factors of enlightenment. So you observe mindfulness, distinguishing of phenomena, energy, joy, ease, concentration, and equanimity. You observe them as they are: present, absent, increasing, and stabilized, only in 4 states. And finally, there is the practice of observing the 4 Noble Truths. So there you just reflect on suffering, the cause of suffering, which is craving, cessation of suffering, which is achieved through cessation of craving, and the Eightfold Noble Path, which consists in brief of ethics, meditation, and wisdom. So this way we have altogether 8 practices of observing the mind. In the beginning, I would suggest to you that you start with the unspecified practice, because there you don't worry. It's not so much stressful because you're just open to anything that is there. Nobody is limiting you in your labeling. Just enjoy being in the present moment. After some time, when you feel that you are able to be in the present moment and you are able to notice what's happening right now with the mind, then I would suggest to you to look at the 16 mental states and see if you can categorize your mind into the 16 states and observe how they are arising, staying, and disappearing. And then when you can master the 16 states of mind, when you can see that all of the states of mind actually fit in any of the 16, then you can observe your intentions alone. So you would just observe how you have intention throughout the day. Intention here, intention there, intention for this, intention for that. There's always an intention, regardless whether you do something or not do something. If you are awake, there is an intention. Then you can observe perception. When you have mastered intentions, you can observe perception. You can observe how you perceive things as yours, as you, as not yours, and as not you, as desirable, as undesirable, as good, as bad. You can observe also the conventional perception. You can observe how you distinguish man, woman, child, thing, living being, animal, mosquito net, floor, anything. So this way you can spend whole day just and only observing perception in your mind. Then you can move on to observing your feelings. You can observe pleasant, unpleasant and neutral feelings and gradually realize that all feelings in their ultimate reality are actually unpleasant only. That pleasant feeling is only an illusion created and built from the unpleasant feelings. Then you can go even further and observe consciousnesses, the 6 consciousnesses. When you observe the 6 consciousnesses, in the practice I teach, I would not expect that any fetter will arise anymore. At that time, because usually yogis need to practice 2 or 3 months before I allow them to observe consciousness like this. When they get to this stage, the mind is so calm, so pure, so peaceful, and the mindfulness is so sharp that when there is seeing, when there is hearing, you can distinguish the specific moments, the separate moments of the seeing, of the hearing. All of our consciousness is dependent on arising and passing of momentary consciousness. If it's not so, if it is not so, then it would not be possible to look here and there. It would not be possible to see any change. The present picture needs to be destroyed so that a new one can arise. That one needs to be destroyed so a new one can arise. And it's not just for vision. It's the same for hearing, smelling, tasting, touching and thinking. Every moment is destroyed, every moment. Then, if that is well understood, then the yogi can see how the idea of self is just an idea. And if detachment has been practiced sufficiently also in the level of generosity and ethics, then the idea of self is released. It is dropped. And when that is dropped, enlightenment arises.